Hi everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. And today I invited my friend and also my strength trainer Karina to help us shed some light on how easy it can be to implement strength training and also how important the proper nutrition is for that. So I'm going to let her introduce herself to you guys and then we're going to start. So Karina, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Deborah. Yeah, so I'm Deborah's strength coach. I've been a strength coach for I think 5 or 6 years now. And before that, I was a hockey player my whole life, a gymnast my whole life. I probably should have gone further into hockey, but blessing in disguise, I actually got injured in my final year of hockey and I broke my wrist 3 times. And from then, I just got thrown right into training. I worked in a camp all summer and then immediately got my certifications, and I've been just off to the races since I was like 17. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I work at Optimiiize. I'm the nutrition coach and I love what I do.
Yes. And so basically when I first met Karina, so people might know this, but for more than 2 decades now I've been mostly involved with yoga, and that's how I've been keeping my fitness and health up. And not so long ago, maybe a year and a bit ago, I decided that, okay, I'm going to need to implement some strength training into my regime. And when I started working with Karina, I couldn't help but notice that how obviously the way that she trains and also her background and everything comes into play. But I found that I was able to stay very connected to the exercise like I do in yoga, and it was very surprising to me that that was possible. So I was very intrigued in how physical fitness, other than yoga that I was used to, can also play a part and does play a part in people's spirituality and spiritual life. And we often have these long talks, and I thought, we have to share this information with people out there, because there might be a lot of people who think that they can't do it. So that's one of the points that I wanted to you to talk to people a little bit about, is like, it's not hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's a huge barrier to entry because people are really scared. We talk about fear all the time, right?
Okay.
But,
so what do you think the barriers are about, though?
Well, I think people think it's hard, that like someone else can do it but they can't do it, or like they're afraid of that they're gonna fail. There's a lot of ego involved in it. When if you find someone who you, like you say, like you're connected with and you're able to trust, you're able to move through more than just you're able to improve more than just physically. You actually gain a lot from it.
So the 2 words that I love what Karina just mentioned, she said trust. Okay? Trust is a very big word. So a lot of people, they don't even trust themselves, okay, to show up and to do it. And then the other thing is the commitment. When you have a certain commitment to yourself and also to the trainer and the trainer to you, then there's a level of success that you're going to get, right? And so how do you think do most people sabotage themselves?
In a lot of ways. I think one, they won't even start. They won't put the effort in, or if they do start, there is this level of distrust where they're excuses come in, or they won't come all the time, or they'll do little things to sabotage themselves, or almost tell their trainer what to do sometimes, which is what it is. It's definitely a fear thing, but letting go of that, I think I know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to try because I might fail, is a huge part of actually growing through it.
Okay, so that's another thing, and we've seen that in all areas of life, though. So when people are afraid to try something, it's usually not just in their active life, physically, but it's also in their work life, relationship life. And so, do you often see that pattern when you meet clients?
Yeah, well, in terms of there are clients who are really successful, and you can tell they're happy and satisfied with their life, and they tend to be the same clients who always show up and they always come in and they listen. They're super open, and they're usually really successful people. They might be business owners, or they're very wealthy or whatever. A lot of the times, those are the clients who listen to you the most, and the people who listen to you the least, they don't show up, or a lot of things are going awry. They always are mentally very volatile, and it's interesting to see that pattern.
So would you say then one of the key things that's required is commitment?
Commitment and having an open mind.
Open mind and commitment. So the open mind thing can maybe come from where people have we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with perceptions on our YouTube. And basically when people have a perception that they can't do it, then usually they can't do it because that becomes their truth, right? Okay. So big on the list is commitment. And I see that as well in all my years of teaching yoga and teaching meditation and just workshops around self-discovery. I find that the one thing that will, make people fail is their lack of commitment. And usually those are the people they need it the most, but just that lack of commitment doesn't give them they don't continue. Because you know what? When things get hard, and which they do inevitably in all areas of life, they get hard and then we want to give up. But if you just persevere a little bit, and I always say in yoga, and I think you say that too, because she's my coach, and she's just amazing. I get to that spot where it's like, or either my body has found a way, kind of like a way out, and then Karina will say, well, no, can you just adjust your posture to this? And that's why it's great to
move through it.
And also, like you said, and I've been conditioned through all my years of yoga to have an open mind. So then I just, stay open. It's like, okay. And also, when it came to strength training, for me personally, it wasn't easy in the beginning. Like, I think
it's uncomfortable. It's so foreign. If you haven't done it before.
But the one thing that did save me, that I will say, is that commitment. When I make a commitment to it, and then also I make a commitment to you that I will show up. So it's a double commitment. So that you're not just making a commitment to yourself, but you're also making a commitment to others. And in my early days of yoga, when I was first a yoga teacher, there are some days when you don't feel like going to teach the class, but you have the commitment to the people, to the students, and that makes you go. So that kind of brings you over your own hurdle. So if you can, as a person out there, let's say you want to be stronger, but you feel you lack the commitment, like maybe make the commitment even to someone else. And the other thing is also to say for people out there, it's like there's always family members. Like, make a commitment to be stronger for your children, to be stronger for your parents. So that's why I was thinking about how spirituality is linked in every aspect of our lives. Because the thing about spirituality is people don't become confused between religion and spirituality, because it's a completely two opposite things. Okay, so think about a banana. Spirituality is the banana and religion is the peel. And that's what it's about. Like, there are so many different religions out there, and most of them are probably good for the people that are following them, but the real thing, spirituality, is the real thing.
It's more intrinsic.
And I wanted to just show today with how spirituality is even connected in what we call strength training or yoga. Basically, it's involved in our commitment to eat better. So I know that Karina also has extensive experience in eating healthy, and that's coming to the other part of strength training. You can't expect your body.
You can't outwork a bad diet. No.
Thank you very much.
You cannot.
So maybe tell our listeners what they can do to start. Just something small.
I think people overcomplicate nutrition like mad. There's obviously fad diets everywhere, but it's like people really forget about our bodies have like we know how to regulate our hunger, and that gets lost sometimes as people grow up or they lose lots of weight or gain lots of weight. But like getting grounded into actually your own hunger levels and the concept of eating slowly and actually chewing your food. People don't chew their food. And it's so funny how often, like, that's a main thing I focus on with people first, and they are always super against it. There's so much resistance. They do it for a week and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so full. And I'm like, yes, you are. That's called paying attention to how full you are.
That's amazing. So two things came up for me when she was talking about this. Number one is chewing your food is like a meditation. Do you know what happens to us? Is we remember.
Your body is digesting. Your body actually realizes that it's the beginning of digestion.
Yes. And when it comes to food, we don't even taste food. We have a memory of how it tasted like when we had it before.
Yes.
So when you slow down and you chew your food, it's an opportunity to really become present with what you're eating now. And then your body also turns on and does, like your digestion system is getting, triggered and it's switched on. And so everything works better when you can become present. So meditation comes into play even with nutrition.
Absolutely.
You have to be aware of what you put in your mouth, when you put it in your mouth, and the effect that it has on your body.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And the other thing that you said, so one was chew, and the other one is overcomplicate.
Yeah.
And here it is, people, we overcomplicate everything. Even in daily life, we always think it has to be hard. It has to be complicated. If it's not, then it's not good. But in my experience, simplicity.
It's weird how people want to overcomplicate the simple things, but then vice versa, things that are a bit complicated, they think are simple. It's very opposite in the way people think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So basically, the simple things in life is how we exist. We exist quite simple. We need some little air, we need little food, nutrition, we need to stretch a little, we need to create strength in the body, because strength training, I found personally that as I got a little older in my life, I required to maintain some strength in my body. So can you perhaps tell us a little bit about why that is?
Yeah, well, it's a natural thing as we age to lose bone density and lose muscle mass just naturally, because it is harder for our body to maintain, and then also there's an increased risk of injury. And if you're able to maintain your strength and maintain your body weight as you age, you're going to be a lot healthier and happier also. And I think it definitely, there's an aspect of mental fortitude, and you're cognitive, you're using your brain when you're strength training. There's so many benefits to it. And also people really, I find, complain as they age. They say I gain weight, we're gaining weight because we age. We're not gaining weight because we age, we're gaining weight because we're losing muscle. Muscle is
Can you say that again
active.
slowly for our audience?
Yeah, you're not gaining weight because you're aging, you're gaining weight because you're losing muscle mass. And that's actually the 100% truth on that. Muscle is metabolically active. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body takes to survive, burns at rest. So if you have less, then you can eat less food, and that's where it all comes into play.
So we can't use that excuse.
No, you can't. I won't take that from anyone. Obviously you have to be gentle in the way that you say that sometimes, because people don't know, but it is valuable to know so that you can do the work.
So there you go. If there's anybody listening out there, and perhaps you're going through menopause, as many of us are, then there's a way that you can help your body. And basically, I believe that in doing some strength training and doing yoga, keeping the body flexible, with stretches and strengthening, I believe that you're going to have that happiness in your older age. Because the thing is, with age comes wisdom. As we age, hopefully.
Yeah.
With aging comes wisdom, because you've learned, hopefully, from your past experiences. So I believe that you need to have a body that can now embody that wisdom. Because if your body's falling apart, then what's the use of the wisdom? You can't really use it because you're not happy. And the other, the thing that I loved what Karina said is about happiness. So there it is. In your life, your birthright is to be happy. I think that we get lost in, first of all, we don't know how to take care of ourselves. So it's very simple. I would like to remind everybody that our bodies are very intelligent. Okay? The body knows, but we don't listen. So your body gives you signals when you are full.
Yes.
Your body gives you signals when you don't need any more food and drink. Your body gives you signals, like we have smell and taste. So if something smells off, your body will say, no, that's not good. Like years ago when we were not so, in modern times, we had to go pick berries, you had to look at the color, you had to, so our eyes.
Your senses.
Exactly. So
primal. Yeah.
So what has happened in our modern life, unfortunately, when it comes to our health and wellness, we've stopped listening and using these senses that's supposed to be there to support us and to make better choices. So I would really encourage anybody listening here, you should start from the basics. Start listening to your body and start watching out when you're putting something in your mouth but you don't need it. okay? So, or when you're drinking and you don't, your body's, you can't anymore, but you're still putting in and in, more in and in. So we're actually, what we are doing is we are destroying this beautiful thing, which is our body, because we are not listening to its signals.
There's a point on that, because I find there's also a balance of, in today's society, a lot of like young people especially are taught to maybe starve themselves also, the other end of the spectrum, and you have to stay mindful that you aren't swaying too far to one side or the other. But in that, when you're saying when people like are not listening to their internal cues, that can happen with like not eating and overeating, when that usually comes from somewhere. Like when I find, because I've had a history with disordered eating in my childhood, and I know when something happens or I have like an anxious moment or day, my inclination is to go eat like immediately, and like to usually something that is not very nourishing. And that can be the opposite for some people too, they just won't eat the whole day. But you have to get connected to that moment where that happens. You're like, usually that trigger is something in your head, and it's not to do with food at all, or your hunger.
But it's awareness.
Yeah, well, that's what I've found, like being able to get connected to that. I'm like, I really notice when I have those moments, and it is quite freeing to actually be able to connect to it. It doesn't make it easier all the time, but that awareness is huge.
And also, would you agree that to accept it?
Yeah.
As well, because I think a lot of the times we eating or not eating the food because we want to push it away. We want to push the emotion or the trauma or the fear away, and we think we're medicating it through food or through not food.
Yeah.
And so again, that's where spirituality comes in, when you're connected to yourself, because spirituality means only to be present with yourself in the moment.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, then you're practicing some form of spirituality.
Yeah.
Because you're choosing to be good to yourself. You're choosing to accept the things as they are. And you can also choose a different outcome when you choose a different response.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there are so many other ways to deal with stress, right? And I think being educated on having healthier coping mechanisms and being able to think through your thoughts and, like you say, like choose a different path can be a really positive thing.
Well, one of those healthy coping mechanisms is exercise.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And of course, there are different forms of exercise. Look, some types of exercise out there are not good.
Yeah,
let's face it. Okay.
Well, yeah.
You gotta, again, when you start
harmful.
listening to your body, then you will start listening to what feels good for you. Because also, what feels good for you can not feel good for somebody else. You gotta find your own group. You have to be committed to yourself. So I would say, just like as in anything in your life, if you want to be successful, or you're looking for another outcome other than the one that's hurting you or creating pain and suffering, there's one little key aspect here, I would say. It's called commitment. You know, to have a discipline, to stay committed to yourself and to try something. Like, you can't say, oh, I want something better, but you're not prepared to take the steps towards. It's like sitting here and you say, I want to be on the top of the mountain, but I'm going to get there without taking a step. That's never going to happen. You're never going to get there. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
So it's these small little steps that I would say is what is going to help people. So don't say, oh, let's say if you want to lose weight, don't say, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. No, just say, you know what, I'm going to start from now. Just
what
start
am I going to do today?
Making small changes, and so over a period of time, you're going to have a result. Like, I remember, just a little personal note, I remember when I first started to do intermittent fasting, for example. So my body weight, and because I've always done yoga for so long, I got results very fast, okay? But then I told my husband about it, and he has a completely different body weight, different constitution, everything. It took him close to 9 months before he saw good results. But don't give up. Just like,
you have to continue.
You have to continue with it to get the results. And that's the other thing I would say to listeners here today is, like, don't be so involved in the outcome.
Some of the immediate outcomes, the short-term outcomes, they're usually not even real outcomes.
Yeah.
You don't see real change.
I would say take the
time.
commitment and just start and let go of the outcome. And that's another thing that I learned through yoga and teaching yoga and practicing yoga myself. As a teacher, when you go into the room, there's maybe 100 people in the room, 100 bodies, 50 bodies in the room, and they're all going to have a different experience with the same class that you're going to teach. You have to let go of the outcome. You have to allow people to have the experience and to have the outcome. And I remember early in my days when I was teaching, I used to be very happy when people came out and they had such a great class, but there would be some people who didn't have a good class. And so it didn't mean that I have to be like, oh, take that on too. So I realized earlier on that when people are feeling good, it has nothing to do with me. And when people are not feeling good, it has nothing to do with me. So that's kind of helped me a lot. But just remember, look, listeners out there, if you want to make a change, what we're trying to say here is there are a few key things. Yeah. One of the key things is commitment, okay? And the other thing is actually you really just have to start. And if you start small, but I would say be consistent, then you're going to have a good result. You know, you have to, because anything has to be better than not taking
anything is better than nothing. Right? If you you're never gonna get there if you don't start. And there's it's actually more, I find, challenging, mentally taxing to not start and to think about what you want and never get it, because the only guarantee is that it's going to be challenging and that you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna want to do it most days. Yeah. But you have to do it, and that's actually what's gonna get you there. And it becomes easier. Choosing the right thing on a day-to-day basis is not always super hard. Sometimes it will be. Sometimes you're going to wake up, you've had an experience where you wake up and you're like, I don't want to go to the gym today. I love Karina, but I don't want to go. And you go.
I go because I made the commitment.
How often do you regret coming?
Not once.
Yeah, exactly. There are many days where the day gets away from you, and I don't want to go move my body because maybe I've been in the gym all day, but I'm also going to feel mentally way worse about myself if I don't go, because that means I didn't choose myself that day, and I want to choose myself.
See, there's another aspect, choose yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the struggle is really hard for people because it's mental. Mm-hmm. So what can we do to mentally help people? What kind of advice can you give people when it comes to struggling mentally?
In terms of just going day to day, doing the thing. Well, I think the one thing is asking, reconnecting to why are you doing what you want to be doing. So usually people, they always start something new because they want something in their life to change, and you have to be connected to your why, because if you're not going to do it, and I guarantee you're not going to get to your goal.
So that's a big thing, listeners. Yeah. Can you write it down? Connect to your why.
Yeah,
that's
what is your why?
That's going to help you.
Ask most people why they're doing what they're doing or what their goals are, and they don't know. They might have some random goal they're not even that connected to, or they'll be like, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds, but it's that's not your goal. Why? What in your life do you want to change? Because you don't just want to lose 30 pounds. Yeah. There's going to be something in your life, something past you've been through before, something you want to do, or maybe you've lost someone or you gained someone and you want to make a change for some reason. If that's not important to you, you're not going to do it. So figure out what that is.
Figure out what your why is and stick to it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So one of the things that I really love about Karina is that she's really young, and I'm just amazed at her commitment to what she does and how she does it, and it intrigued me, and that's why actually I invited her today, because I thought, well, she inspires me, and I thought that I have to get her on the podcast so that she can also inspire people of her age and older people, because she's so young and she connects so well to her, what I would say, spirituality. And I asked her a little bit about what she did and how she became doing what she's doing, and it made total sense to me that this taking care of yourself in health and fitness definitely is based in spirituality, because to your health and you show up, then you're going to make plans to be a better version of yourself. You're going to be better to your friends, you're going to be a better child to your parents, you're going to be a better sibling, a better everything. Yeah, your whole purpose is going to be better. And I just thought it was so amazing that we don't have to wait until we're older, that we can just start at any moment. You don't have to worry about, doesn't matter what age you are, wherever you are at, you can start today, and for people that live locally here in Kelowna, if you're looking for a fantastic strength coach, she's the best, to me anyways, and I have pretty high standards, I think, when it comes to health and fitness. And I'd highly recommend her. So yeah, you can hit her up. We'll leave some information in the bio about her. And yeah, I think I'm so grateful to know her and for her to be my coach, because I did not like strength training really in the beginning. It was foreign to me, but she helped me and I connected to it like how I can connect to it with yoga. And so now I'm seeing the results. It's added to my life, it's added to my health and wellness and to my happiness really, because if you don't have a good body, strong body, then happiness will elude you, I believe, you know?
Yeah. Deborah's pumping my tires though right now. I do love my job. I'm very passionate about my job, but also when you come in, we get a lot done, but we talk a lot, and my cup always feels so full. I always feel like I'm thinking, and I feel so good after every time you come into the gym.
Aww.
So I'm so grateful to have you as a client, as like a friend.
I'm just getting goosebumps.
Yeah, no, like very like I feel like you're also like a mentor to me, and like almost like motherly with like the way that we are able to connect, and like I'm blessed that I'm able to help you in any kind of way.
And you do. But yeah. And you do every week. Oh my God, wow, I didn't know that, but thank you so much for sharing that with me. But it's definitely mutual, and like I said, I think I say to her almost every week, like, I can't believe how young she is, because she's so good at what she does. And also she's not afraid. Like, she can kick your ass and she won't apologize for it. So I love that, because as you might know about me, that I practice Bikram yoga, I teach Bikram yoga. It's pretty hardcore, and this girl is the real deal. So thank you so much. I appreciate so much that you came over and had a chat with our listeners, and hopefully we've encouraged them to, just start small, watch what you eat. If you don't worry about big outcomes, just start small, and then over time you're going to see some kind of breakthrough, because that's all we're hoping to do in your job and in my job. We're hoping to help people to be better.
Elicit some kind of change, right?
Exactly, because life is sometimes has its hurdles, it has its ups and downs, and we just have to know that we can get through it. I remember, is it Maya Angelou? She said something so great. Every time when I hear it, I think about it, it makes me smile. And she said, "Well, I've had my ups and downs, but I always managed to pull myself up." And she says, "Life gave me lemons, but I made lemonade." And I love that. So I'll leave you with that quote. And hopefully we've inspired you today to take action, even if it's a small action. Just stay committed to that action, and to always make sure that you understand that the connection that you create when you eating healthy, listening to your body, listening to the cues of your body, strengthening your body, keeping your body flexible, that you're going to connect with your spirituality. And really, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Like, many things are going to come and go in your life. People are going to come and go. Things, money, whatever it is. But your connection that you have with yourself, if you can work on improving that, you will never be lost in your life ever. And that's what I would like to leave our listeners with today. Thank you all for joining in, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Karina.
Thanks, Deborah.